Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to One Page Wednesday. This is my little show where we have a look at everything one page rules related, and I have a challenge for you. If you've ever been tempted to play something like 40k or OPR, if you've ever wanted to play a sci-fi battle game, I am starting right now a 6-month expansion campaign. So if you are in the mood for some hobby, to play along, to help me, jump into our Discord, go to the One Page Rules bit, and in there you're going to see my hobby blogs and stuff like that, because I have put together a 6-month expansion campaign for Grimdark Future, which is the One Page Rules sci-fi game, and I'm going to take my new orc army that's being released by One Page Rules from a little skirmish force to a full 2,000 point battle, and I'm going to talk about how I'm going to do it right now. Okay, so One Page Rules is a game I've absolutely been loving at the moment. My friend Rick came around yesterday to pick up some bits and bobs, and I was just like, dude, this is the most playable game. I love Blood Bowl because it tempts you with all of the teams, right? 30 teams in Blood Bowl. One Page Rules, it tempts you with all of the army lists. Trips has said this, like, I find myself building rosters. I find myself building army lists. Now, if you're a wargamer like me, you've always kind of like, oh, that's a cool tank. The Land Raider's pretty cool. I love Terminators. I love some Tyranids. I love High Elves. But I've never had a reason to paint up an army. One Page Rules, the gameplay is enough of a reason. And with them dropping their sci-fi orcs at the moment, this is the first month. They're a bit behind, so they're not all out yet. But I'm going to be basically building parts of the force with every month's release until we get to 2,000 points. And my goal on the channel is, alongside Ian Warhammer, Craig Raisenhorse and Sam Garner, they are also helping me with this expansion campaign, and we're going to get a game in every month with each of the stages of our armies so that we can kind of share this hobby journey. It's a side quest, but it's one that is just full of so much fun to play, so much fun to paint. And at the end of it, I'm going to end up with a 2,000 point army, and it means I can play loads of games. Now, that's the sci-fi version. Next month, they are dropping fantasy dwarves, and I will be doing the same thing for dwarves as well. So we'll be doing more videos on the channel. The One Page Wednesday is going to kind of detail the releases from OPR, some cool things about OPR, and my hobby blogs and our battles as we go along. So let's begin with the Grim Dark Future expansion campaign. Okay, it's me, so I love a good slideshow here. I prefer a spreadsheet, but actually this did start as a spreadsheet, which makes a lot of sense. So I will put links to these in the bit below, but it's pretty basic, just graphics. So how are we going to do it? We've got 6 months. 6 months from 0 to 2,000. The first game we're going to do is going to be a 300 point skirmish game. Now, this is the only skirmish game in the whole thing, so if you don't like the idea of playing skirmish, you can bin this one off, ignore it, go straight to month 2 or whatever. But we're going to be putting together a little skirmish force for each of our armies. And there's 2 reasons that I think this works 3 reasons that this actually works really, really well. One is, although there's a couple of rules in skirmish that are slightly different, so some of the special rules and some of the morale rules are slightly different than the full game, it's the best way. I think it's the lowest point of entry to get playing One Page Rules. You learn how the alternating activations actually goes. Theoretically, it's easy to comprehend, but playing it out, there's some things you can only learn by playing it. And I think it's a really good way to do that without having to paint too much stuff. You get to learn how all the basic rules work, all the weapons, everything like that all works the same. So it's a really good way to get used to your force, to try out some of your units and learn the rules. The second thing is it's fun. Like, skirmish is really fun. I want to be able to paint 8, 9, 10 guys this month and actually play a game really soon. Again, you get to try out some of your units, and quite frankly, it might be that you do the first skirmish game and you're like, I don't like how these guys play. You've only painted a skirmish force, it's fine. But the idea is you can kind of start with your units and actually play a game. So I think there's a load of really good things about it. Now, there is a slight twist. I've put this optional special rule in there. So when you build a force on Army Forge, which is their free army builder, it's the best army builder I've ever used, there are limitations. You can only take 3 of any particular type of unit, basically. If you're just starting out, if you've got a box of Space Marines, or you are signed up to 1 month of an STL Patreon, You may not have like one of every type of your unit, so you may actually want to focus on, okay, I just want to paint more core guys ready to be a unit. So if you're doing fantasy, you may be like, right, in my army, I want a unit of spearmen, I want a unit of archer, I want a unit of spearmen, and I want a unit of swordsmen. So I want more than 3. And some forces, you just don't have that many basic guys. So my twist to this one is the limited mini pool option, which is instead of having 0 to 3 of everything, you choose one particular type of unit. So in the orcs that I'm running, let's see if we can put them on the screen now. There's the start of my skirmish force. I want more than 3 of my basic orcs, because my basic orcs are the only units kicking around. So the idea is you pick one and you can take 6 of those instead of 3. But you can only take up to 3 of any other unit. So you can have up to 6 of your normal guys and only 3 other choices in total. So I don't think I've put that could be limited to duplicates, but basically my orc force is going to look like 6 orcs with a bike and a hero. And that means I get to paint more of my core guys. And I think at the beginning of an expansion campaign, you want to be working towards painting up a whole unit. So month 1 is a skirmish game with a limited mini pool as an optional rule, but I think it's a great place to start out. Which takes us to month 2. So in month 2, no more skirmish, we're playing an actual game of Grimdark Future now. Now, we are setting the points limit up from 300 for our skirmish to 650 points for this game. And when it comes to the GDF forces, 650 points is not a huge amount. You are probably looking at 1 unit, 1 or 2 smaller units, a vehicle and a hero, basically. And I think that's a really solid starting point. It's not too much to paint, it's quite fun. You kind of get to try a few of these the units out that you're going to want to have in your army, or you just really wanted to have lying around. Now again, we've got another optional rule here which I think is really important, and both for month 2 and month 3 we're going to be using the light company rules. It's optional rule, but basically you bring your force, and at the beginning of the game, you and your opponent, you can decide to cut your units in half. So say you do bring 1 unit, 1 vehicle, 2 units, a vehicle and a hero. Well, that's only 4 activations. In an alternating activation game, you're going to end up with 8, 9, 10 as you play the full game, and it's a better experience. So the idea is you can cut some of your units in half to give you more activations. It's going to get you to learn how morale works as your units get killed or get to the break point and stuff like that. I think it's a really good way of doing it. You get more gameplay for your models, and I think it's really useful. Definitely at 650 points. When you get the next month into month 3 at 1,000 points, you can choose whether to do it or not, but I do think it's really worth doing. Now the other thing we'll talk about right now is Army Forge. So Army Forge, let me bring this up on my phone and we can go whoop whoop and chuck it up on the screen. So Army Forge is a web-based thing that's just absolutely blibbing awesome, and you can build your games, you can build your armies for everything. So we're going to focus on Grimdark Future, and I'm going to go down here, choose all the lists and choose Orc Marauders, and you're going to create a new list. Now before you do that, you can go to this bit, go to Grimdark Future, choose your army, and then the army list for everything is going to be right flipping there on the screen. All of your spells, all of your units, all of what the special rules do, it is absolutely magnificent. But as we build forces, there's a thing called force organization, and you get to choose your points limit. So you can do a custom points limit, or you can do, you know, the fixed ones. 2,000 is the basic army game, 1,000 is a smaller version. Now what we're going to do is we're going to choose 1,000 points for month 2 and for month 3, and we're going to click create list. But in month 2, we're only going to build 650 in our army. We're going to leave the rest left over. Now the reason we're sitting at 1,000 points is because you've got this force organization here. So 1,000 points for Grimdark Future, you get 2 heroes max, 5 units max, and 2 unit copies max. If we were to adjust this to 650, it would change some of those, and it would give you a smaller, basically a smaller, oops, wrong button, force, 1 hero, 3 unit, 1. We don't want that. We're working towards a full list here. So when it comes to these games, edit details, we are going to be at 1,000 points for games 2 and 3, but games 2 is limited to 650, but you're using Force Org for 1,000. Basically, think of Blood Bowl. You get the full roster, but you're playing with 700k or 650k instead of 1 million, basically. You're not using the sevens rules, you're using the the restrictions for a bigger force, which is going to help as you build your force. So I don't know what my unit's going to look like yet, my army. I think I'm going to have some bikers, so we'll add that to the list. Definitely going to have an orc leader, and I'm definitely going to have an orc mob, and I'm going to need a vehicle. Now, they've not dropped the vehicle yet, but I'm probably going to need a truck. So that takes me to 560 points. This is my build for my 650. And then you click on the unit and you can go and choose, do I want them to have this special rule, that special rule? Here are some weapons you can choose. Army Forge is fantastic, and it is it's just dangerous. You've got Force Org. You can click this button, you get like a nice little export. You can even export it to cards, you can export it text as well. So it's a really useful tool, and that is why we're setting the Force Org a little bit differently. So because you want to be able to play with models that are more akin to what you're going to end up with. So month 2 is a 650 point game using Force Org for 1,000 points, and you've got that light company option in there. Then we go and look at the rest of time. So month 1 is skirmish, month 2 is 650, month 3 is 1,000 points. Again, you can use light company if you want. And then when we go through months 4, 5 and 6, it's 1,350 points for month 4, 1,700 points for month 5, and 2,000 points at month 6, at which point we've achieved our goal of having a 2,000 point army. Now, very much like how we set the cap at 1,000 points for Force Org for 650 point game, for games 4, 5 and 6, you want to use the 2,000 points Force Org because it gives you more unit choices. Because the idea is every month you're creeping up towards your 2,000 point goal, which is where all of the fun is going. So this is going to be, as we tickle over into May, May's basically going to be our first month. The Orcs for OPR were delayed. I wanted to start it this month, but actually I think that works out fine. The Dwarves are going to be out and the Orcs are going to be out, so it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to be using One Page Wednesdays as hobby, and all kinds of things. So come and join us in the Discord. We've got the One Page Rules tab. Mosey on in there and let's start building up some rosters and some stuff like that, because this is a fun little hobby journey and I'm really enjoying it so far. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining. We'll be back soon with more wargaming content. Happy rolling.